Amitabha Buddha greetings to all the people. People are waking up this morning. The first idea is, do people remember the Buddha? People remember the Buddha, but do people have the heart to pray for the dead? The masses are. So that before going to study the great Buddha memories, connect with the public. Non-tissue ad do Buddha. Non-tissue ad do Buddha. Non-tissue ad do Buddha. I ask Amitabha Buddha to send me to the West. Non-tissue ad do Buddha. Non-tissue ad do Buddha. Non-tissue ad do Buddha. Folks, it's still today. A stage of the great Master Ham Sen, quoted in his Sleepwalking. Ladies and gentlemen, the process of In the Dream of Master Ham Sen, I think we've learned a lot. Yeah. Then we can all listen together. How does the Master teach? Method of spiritual practice Asari. The teacher who teaches spiritual practices also has a hierarchy. But the attack of the monastics, no need for external forms. Just take the Buddha as the main thing. Every day the Buddha rises early to recite a Amida Sutra, holding a string of Buddha signs, or 3,000 or 5,000 or 10,000, completed in front of the Buddha. Devotion to the Pure Land. It's morning and evening time. Take that as a fixed time, definitely indispensable. Take this Dharma and tell it to your relatives, the better the French practice. It's a daily practice. If for the last big thing, practice hard, the more urgent. Data of Kung Fu. Keep it for 24 or 4 hours. Just a Buddha sign placed in his heart. Thoughts do not forget, the mind is not dim. Just take this one Buddha sign. Make your own life. Hold tight to the determination not to let go. It's a stage of the Master here we're talking about. They teach us as they often remind us. Here you say a monk. There's no need for formal questions here. The monk here is when you talk, when to share. When you mention this, he is directed to the monastics. Public practice, but actually, this method is three-dimensional. Holy key collected. This method is high and low. Anyone can practice too, and practice this technique. Lay people or monastics. If you truly believe this method is really practicing this method, they all return to the Western world. Here you take the monastic as the criterion. That's the basis for you to remind me, folks. It's like a monk's attack here. No need for external forms. Just take the Buddha's name as the main. Then it doesn't need form. It doesn't need dignity. The more serious, the better. But what you're saying is, maybe there's an altar. There is no altar. There are also Buddha paintings. There is no Buddha painting. Even in a clean place or in an unclean place. But this one is based on virtue. It's a Buddha sign. In truth, we start when we practice. There is definitely inspiration. There is definitely something. Your sympathy. We don't want that. But in the context of employee discretion, in difficult circumstances, in all circumstances, in no dignified place, no clean place, there is no altar. Recite this one Buddha sign. The problem that arises is the universal Maitreya. Reciting a Buddha sign, the problem is that we practice his teachings. There are 25 bodhisattvas, regular maintenance, regularly endowed with a protective. This is the name of the Buddha to raise 10 directions of the Buddhas. Use a wide and long tongue. Xion Yang exclaimed, whether the place is pure or impure. whether there is an altar or no altar, whether it's a dignified place or not, but really in this Buddha sign, because of birth and death, because of the birth, where it's all about religion, where everything is pure. When our mind is pure, everything is pure, the purest, the wisest. What is it? It's Amitabha Buddha. It's the Buddha in our hearts. Should be here. We hear about this phase. It's just normal. There is no question that the practice of recitation of the external forms, only the essential soul to preserve this Buddha sign. Just take the Buddha as the main. And then we'll go to paragraph to here, and you say that. The opposite of this, you said it was strange. He said you have to get up early every day to celebrate the Buddha, the sutra, to hold the Buddhist thought chain. On the one hand, he said there was no need for formality. On the one hand, he said he had to wake up early in the chanting. What do you mean by that? If you ask what it is, it's the same. Now, suppose there's a chair. Then we're sitting in a chair. Who's the fool sitting on the ground? There is a thought. Then we lie on the mat thinking who is foolish, lying under the dirty mud. The same is true in situations such as in the company, in the factory, in some hostels, some people. You can't worship the altar. You can't put 3 of them on it. It can't be placed in the house. You can't raise the statue. What kind of reluctance is that? As if they were an altar. If you can be serious, good. Dignified way means in adversity. If we are reciting the Buddha that our husband hit us, maybe we should stop thinking about the Buddha. What do you mean? In that adversity we try that we practice. In the adversity that we're still trying to cultivate, the more we have to try. Is there an altar where we practice and recite the Buddha? The more we have the altar, the more we have to try. Why is the staff so good? And I am good. I have to try harder than others. Let's assume that. I want to tell you what it is every day. If you are lucky enough to have an altar with 3, watch as we go up there. Sir, I just woke up. Lord Buddha, I come up to you. I pray to the Buddha. I vow to be born here. If you have good food, eat it. If the warehouse doesn't have good food, they keep good food and bad food. No one is stupid enough to choose bad food. Let's eat good food. If there is an altar with 3 words, we practice normally. First of all, here's what you said at the beginning. Depending on the circumstances, there's no need for formal questions. You can recite the Buddha anywhere. But that, if there is an altar with 3 instructions, go up. It's still better. I really think there is a charm. There's a picture of him I'm looking at. There is a solemn altar. I suddenly felt like I was also fluttering and comfortable seeing my reverence. It's surging. It's more emotional. You say you have to get up early every day. Wake up early, really. It depends on each person's job. You said it was. Every morning I wake up like a talker. If it's really work, you can't go to the main hall. I can't go to the altar. But some recipients have shared that too. At 3 o'clock in the morning, they had to take vegetables out and have to wake up early. If they have to go to the market, they can't keep the time. For those cases, then we take virtue as the main. Take the Buddha as the main virtue. Just silently reciting the Buddha is not so. Here you talk to people. If there is a stable time, it must be kept. 3 people said they have to go up in the morning and celebrate. Hear the day. We should recite a sutta every day. I also read a book in the morning. I also read a book tonight. What are you chanting that for? In the Derived Sutra is that he introduced the Western world. A wide display of the Western world. Enemies win in the Western world. Hatred won the title of Buddha and make Sao be born on it. What is it to recite this Buddha sign? So, every day we recite the Buddha. Day by day we practice recitation of the Buddha. And pray for life. That's what we recite. So, if anyone likes to sing, in fact, he still calls us. Just take the Buddha's thoughts as righteous conduct. Pray so that we understand we know. We can feel and... Mindfulness is a practice, the reality of our authenticity. So, we should still take virtue as your own. Recitation finished. It means that I know the Western world is beautiful. I know the West's ecstasy is the enemy's triumph. When you finish chanting, you have to hold the Buddha's thoughts. Here now we can't hold the chain. We press the number, we recite the Buddha. Now the morning and evening time of the Master of Germany is too special. I naturally learned this stage today. We just accepted Germany. Now I have a lot of statues. I want to be at home too. Church of 3 If you say no, more or less we'll go out into the dark. I have my own room to worship 3. Something sad Buddha, today his husband cursed me. Lord Buddha, today we are unkind to you. Buddha have our daughter recite the Western Dharma. The meaning is simply in. There is an altar in the house. It's like there's a place for me to settle down. There is a place to send my heart. There is a place to talk to the Buddha. The house has an altar. 3 said to go out, go in and make love to sentient beings. People see the altar, we see the solemn Buddha statue. People applaud, looking at the Buddha accidentally. There is also merit. Then I went out and went into the house to see the altar of Buddha. I also want to be serious. The way you look, I naturally remember the Buddha more. There is a Buddha altar at home. Keep the lock time is also easy. There is also a place where it is really clear. There is a clear place to practice. Is it better to have a good place to practice? As well as the saying that is not called. No need for external form. It's for the unqualified. Not enough employees' opportunities. But that qualifies employees' opportunities. We have an altar. 3 is still better. Is still better? But let's not get too attached. For people at the inn, it's hard in the corporate world we want. But people now. Now the phone is like Kia's head. The iPad and the phone are great. Now stay at work. You want to recite the Buddha. 5 minutes and 2 minutes. Open the phone with a picture of Buddha. Looking at the Buddha and reciting the Buddha Amitabha Buddha is also good, and it is also a means. Well, you shared that here today. This place is important, he said. Wake up early every day to celebrate the Buddha. Holding the Buddhist thought chain, we need to hold the chain now. If we needed digital press, we're told. Take the chain as a lock. 3 sentences, 5 sentences, 1,000 sentences must be kept steady. In the morning and evening, the time must be missed. We used to take the chain. We can ruin a day of remembrance. How many sentences have 50 sentences? Now that there's a digital ball machine, but every vehicle is AI powered. Remember the chain, remember the chain. If you're used to dialing numbers, depending on each person, you have to keep the lock steady and not be interrupted. You can hear the hips. The disruption is my real self. So, the great speakers at Sao persistent sharing. The university following your example. Persistent to share too. Why? I'm simply bad at you. I'm too bad. If they don't talk, they don't share. They have no motivation to practice. You can't hear, you can't share. You also have no motivation to practice. Who's also ordinary? Who are saying this is still ordinary? The person who is listening is also ordinary. Why? Because we just need to think about one thing. Not yet born. AI is still ordinary in the 6 ways of rebirth and death. So try. So too is our practice. Daily listening to the Dharma to foster prayer. Day of the Buddha. Don't miss that we're proving that one thing. You are so kind. I want to be true to my heart. Don't tell me you don't have time. There is no mind of birth and death. Don't tell me you don't have time. Buddha does not know how to accumulate time. If there is a mind of death, if you have the heart to decide, he knows how to save time. Have time to recite the Buddha, gentlemen. We lie to our minds. Take the excuse, take the delay. Make a lie for our minds. Let's just take it for a reason. So, what do you do every day? Take that as a lock. The morning and evening lock. Created the morning and night lock in vehicle. Memories of the Middle East. We can do it in 20 minutes, 45 minutes. I can do it, and I'm really capable of doing it. That's because we don't. For some people, it's hard work. It can't be done. He teaches us here. Here every day in addition to elaborate courses while. Take this Buddha sign for 24 hours. Must be placed in remembrance that is not forgotten. We see clearly. This digital balloon vehicle, it's very interesting to you. It helps us to be very active. It helps us not to be late in reciting the Buddha. There is only 3,000. There's not enough. Let's try to make it work. 3,000 new memories tonight. Report Buddha sign to the Master. I'm reporting to the Buddhists tonight. I'll report to the Buddhists. I thought it was too bad. Let's try tonight too. Report to let people move. Natural forces think about it. The great overhaul attempt. And you will report to me this evening. Too little sounds too bad. When I see you trying, I have to try too. We're naturally partners in the effort. So, take this Buddha recitation machine and you try to press the number of Buddhist thoughts daily. Do not give up. Then the vehicle, the Buddhist recitation machine. Let's go to the market. Let's get something for the company. Employees are not eligible. Don't leave it outside. Hidden in you. I can hear it with a small whisper. If you can hear it, try it. He said out of time. Out of 2 courses into 44 hours. Free rang. Whenever you take the Buddha's name and place it where you are willing. Don't forget the Buddha's words. The mind is not blurry. Just take a Buddha sign as your own strain. Hold tight in your heart. Resolve not to let go, resolve not to let go. So, today we hear these stages. The first thing is that the Buddha is not too formal. We are not qualified to worship the 3 commandments. Not eligible. There are Buddha statues. True remembrance. This Buddha sign is the Maitreya Buddha spreading, the light Buddha spreading. To truly recite this Buddha sign, that our minds are pure. The place is pure. Because the Buddha understood in his heart. Because the Buddha in the heart is the purest and the most peaceful. Is the most self-contained. This is one of those things that once we practice, we think we are. To practice the teachings of the Buddhas of the ancestors. Then the 10 Buddhas are also looking for maintenance. The guard applauds us. Protection, the geeks forget to keep saying maintenance. They are protecting us, we are washing. We are. So, look, we remember. We recite the Buddha listening. We think of Buddha, Buddha knows. We are bowing to the Buddha. We are reciting the Buddha. When we do this, our Master is dialing the number Buddha sees. Why are you so diligent? Why are you so diligent? I'll take care of you and I'll take you first. I'll give you a special ticket to the West. You guys, you believe that? True recitation of Buddha's name. The Buddha is always looking at the Buddha. Looking at it, we've noticed. This guy's been paying attention to you. I will receive you first. Buddha will love you very much. We keep thinking one thing behind us. There are always 10 oceans. Buddha always had 25 bodhisattvas. There is always a father. I'm looking at my stones. Then you should try to recite the Buddha. The first thing in every scene. No need for formal recitation. Recite the Buddha is good, and then recite the Buddha is good. What do you say next? If there is an altar, there are 3. Then do 2 in the morning. There is a solemn altar. It naturally makes your mind more respectful, to make our spiritual practice more diligent as well. So the German teacher facilitated the altar. Table 3 tells you to set it now. I know it's a lot, but I hear it's a lot. To create the means that the house has 3. The house is reciting the Buddha. Every family prays for what it is. The surrounding environment is Amitabha Buddha. The surrounding environment is enlightened. The surrounding environment is compassionate. What does this world do? There is another accident. Gentlemen. The human mind, it affects the environment. My mind recites the Buddha, my mind is enlightened, my mind is not. This life will be peaceful and happy. Don't tell the world about your family. If you really listen to the Dharma, to truly build trust, I truly know enough to make you happy. Practice letting go of my family is naturally happy. You will naturally be happy. Go on, you say. Outside up to lock time morning and evening. You have to try to take that recitation of the Buddha. We have to get a clear estimate. I can remember 3,000 today. 5,000 must be clearly transparent. I have to know that today I am thinking badly. Not enough is not enough. Don't be deceitful. Not enough AD or Buddha, Amitabha, Buddha, make enough. The idea is to be true in your heart. Today I have enough memories, and then it's almost reporting time. Give quickly to give enough. I'm lying. I remember that badly. Has a mind of birth and death, was determined to be born. Don't say busy, don't say no time. Don't say busy, because we don't know how to set it up. We don't know how to accumulate time because of us. The mind is not strong. We practice what we say that for. Always positive, always upward. It always gives us the motivation to do something. Being a Buddha is very important. You say if it's the last big thing. The more urgent is the practice. What's the last big thing? Our birth and death. The recitation of the Buddha's invocation that we're practicing in everyday life. It is our duty to recite the Buddha's name today. It's that we deal with birth and death in the future. If you think about this last big thing, it's very important, and diligent practice must be urgently not to treat. Don't lie, don't pretend, don't make a pie outside. It's urgent. He said 2 in the morning and 2 in the evening. Keep lockout. We practice the Buddha's name, the Buddha's name. This digital press is very, very easy to clean. Now you're outside. It's got a chain of 108 beads. Or hold a little chain. It's very inconvenient, but the digital ball machine is convenient. In our pockets, the hair times, the press, or even if you know it, we press like this. Well, people don't. It's compact. Where does AI pay attention? Even if you pay attention when I recite the Buddha, as a practitioner, I can't remember anything. What AI says, no matter who has the heart to decide, was determined to practice. No need to be ashamed. No need to be ashamed. People steal. People commit adultery. People are evil. People are jealous. People do all sorts of things in the world. Pink people are not ashamed. People don't know what shame is. And the fact that I recite the Buddha is not a crime. The Buddha does not hurt anyone. It is not called the Buddha. There is no need to be ashamed of anything that is illegal. So through today's stages, let's try to be diligent as we hear here. What to do? I'll read it again. Master Ham SN teaches spiritual practice. There's also hierarchy, but the destruction of the monastics. As the modern saying goes, monastics are, for example, it's called down. That's the representative, any class of lay people. No need for external forms. You just need to bear witness to it. Every day, I wake up early and recite the Buddha's prayer. 3,000, 5,000, 1,000. When the prayer is finished, the prayer is born. This is where people forgot to mention what in the morning and in the evening. Remind me again. This goal is to recite the Buddha's wish for the. One day is to recite the Buddha's prayer for the. This week is to recite the Buddha's day of prayer. This month is to recite the Buddha's prayer for the. This year is to recite the Buddha's prayer for the. All my life I have been praying for God. I often vow to remind myself of that. When finished, speak before the Buddha. Devotion to pray for the dead. That's the time to break the light. The evening is like that. Day to day take it as a fixed breaking time. Absolutely indispensable. If you can be advised, the better. It's a daily practice. Every day is our every day. For the last big thing. The last big thing is death. Elaborate practice, the more we should think about death. Think about impermanence. Think about whether or not you will be born again. Want to be born or not must be self-determined. If you are born, you must practice hard. Be careful not to lie. Take out to classes in 24 hours. Just take the Buddha's name in your heart. The mind does not forget the mind. The mind is not dark. Just take this Buddha sign as your own life. Hold tight with the determination not to let go. It's getting college today. I will share with you the story of the great detective. Okay, I wish the people a lifetime of prayer. I am determined to return to the Western world. Non tissue ad do Buddha.